Okay? So, papakita natin siya in action later. And ang gagamitin natin na app here is Swift Playgrounds. So, remember, hindi pa lumalabas yung Swift Playground 4. So, dun tayo muna sa Swift Playground. Yung version ngayon, 3 point something. Okay? So, ito yung demo. Nirecord ko lang siya kasi dapat sa iPad eh. Pero babasahin ko na lang. Hindi ko babasahin. I mean, explain ko na lang while I'm walking you through. Okay? So, yan here. As you can see, pag binuksan niyo yung Swift Playgrounds, ito yung makikita nyo. May mga ready na siyang modules and stuff for us. So, first thing first, kuwari nagsisimula ka pa lang talaga lahat, Learn to Code 1 pwede mong gamitin. You can learn the Swift fundamentals using Learn to Code 1. Ano ba itsura niya? Ganito yung makikita mo siya. And then, meron siyang mga like different pages on the side wherein may introductions. And meron siyang mga kind of like gaming thing. So, for example, ito. Sabi niya, way para makuha yung gem. So, sa baba, merong way to actually tap. You basically program byte to do an action. So, this is one way of actually learning how to code and understanding ano yung structure ng Swift. That's just one way. Now, next part, of course, yung exciting part. Paano mo siya magagamit in real situation, right? So, ito yung blank playground. So, sa nakikita mo natin sa kabila sa side is may pages, may source code and stuff. And sa kabila, yung parang text editor natin. First of all, of course, you can see the import statement. You can import Swift UI. You have to import playground support para magamit natin yung playground mismo. And then, initially, we're going to create like a struct here. So, sa struct na to, parang ito yung pinaka-basic part ng kailangan sa isang component when it comes to Swift UI. Where you need a body, okay, na view as a view. And then, for example, you need to add in kung ano yung objects inside. Example, naglagay ako ng text dito. Kamusta na kayo dyan? Right? Kasi kanina pa tayo, di ba? Yan. And then from there, paano natin makikita yung actual effect? So here, we're using the playground page. From the playground support yan. And then we're accessing it. And then we're passing it the sample, we're passing the sample view to the set live view. And we click on the run my code button. And then it's actually superimposed in a view. Kung nung nakikita nyo ngayon na to, it's just basically an app. Yung app mismo, parang sa phone, yan na yan. Exactly. And if you change yung text sa kabila, right? If you change some of the details, right? Nag-add kayo ng emoji and everything. Nag-add kayo ng feature. You click on run my code again, it would update. So, pag ni-run ko to ngayon sa actual iPhone, ganyan yung itsura niya. Ganun ka-simple. And yung sinasabi ko sa Swift UI, it's a declarative way kung paano yung style niya, di ba? Right? Paano yung yan, nandiyan yung text. Nagdo-drawing ka lang, pero sinusulat nila yung linya per linya yung actual code. So, side by side, nakita siya. Ngayon, what I'm doing here is that nag-create ako ng V-stack. Yung V-stack is a vertical stack para maka-add ako ng maraming views inside. Like, for example, text. Kasi mag-error yan pag hindi. Ayan. So, alam ko, malapit na mag-lunch. Kumain na ba kayo? Gutom na. Itong ako, di ba? Ng stock. And then if I run the code again, dalawa na siya. So, yung code ko, kamukha niya actually yung actual app, right? Sa side. Okay? Di ba? So, in short, ganyan kasimple yung Swift UI. And sa meron nagdalagay ng mga parang shortcuts ang tawag natin dyan para habang nagta-type kayo, hindi nyo na kailangan i-type lahat. Tatap-tap nyo na lang siya. Parang in short, shortcut siya. So ngayon, what I'm doing right now is I'm adding more, I'm trying to modify, yung text natin para mas may design and stuff. Like, nag-add ako ng padding, nag-add ako ng background color. So if I run it, yan, nag-change na siya, right? Tama? So, lalagay ko rin sa kabila, dito sa kumain na ba kayo? Nagugutom na ba tayo? Right? Ayan. Yan. Pasensya na. Nagkamali ng type. So, yan. So in short, I'm copying yung nasa taas na code na specs, like modifier niya, kinakopya ko rin sa baba. And then if I run it, magkakaroon na siya ng same color. I mean, magkakaroon na siya ng same spec, different color lang siya. Pero what we're doing right now, if you look at it, is it's not actually, hindi okay yan, di ba? You don't keep on like just copying, parang in short, we need to refactor it in a way na hindi puro duplicate code lang na copy-paste, copy-paste, copy-paste. Right? Kasi there's a big chance of making an error and stuff. So, ang maganda ngayon dito sa playgrounds is meron tayong shared code. So, sa side natin nakikita sa kabilang side, ang gagawin natin is, i-share, itong code na to, i-share natin siya para later on, we can actually just, use this code, again, reuse it, and then we don't have to, keep on copying it every time and chances of making an error. So sa part na to, instead of, ginawa ko lang siyang text sample view just for example. And then, what I did was, from here, tatanggalin ko ni isa. Isa lang yung kailangan natin. Yung VStack, however, nailagay ko siya here, nakalimutan ko lang siya burahin. Pero, okay naman siya. I mean, it means na pag ginamit natin siya, multiple VStack ang magagamit natin on this section. So yan, what I'm doing right now is actually creating a variable na pwede natin i-reuse. So here, I'm creating it. So instead na text inside, para mas maganda kung text value na lang yung pangalan. Diba? So text value, which is actually a string, right? And then from there, nag-initialize ako ng string natin para magamit natin yung value na yun. Yan. And then from there, ang ginawa ko dito is, instead of setting it to UI color gray, I want to set it to a yung system color. Kasi later, papakita ko sa inyo, like, ano bang purpose nito din? Like, ano mga pwede nating yung purpose. So, secondary system background yung ginamit ko dito. And at the same time, since it's actually a shared code, we have to set everything to public. Kasi para makita ng ibang mga yung ibang mga files natin. So, yan. We have to set the struct public, initialize public, the body public, and then let's go back to the main view, and then let's create the new main view. So, wala na to. Bura na to. Bura na itong nasa side natin. Ito, sometimes sinatawag nilang preview, sometimes sinatawag nilang canvas, yung actual app when you run the code. So, ito naman yan. Nag-create ulit ako ng struct, which is a main playground view. And then, same thing. Ayan, pinasa ko siya sa playground page current. Set live view, yung makikita na siya. And then, instead na yung text ang ginamit ko, kinuha ko yung text sample view na ginawa ko na share code natin para ma-reuse natin siya. So, yan siya. So, since nilagay ko na pwede ka magpasa ng value, so if we run it now, ayan na yung kumain na ako, right? So yeah, so meaning naka-create na tayo ng view, right? Ayan. Tapos ulitin ko lang ulit. So meaning we can easily reuse the code now, right? And with less error. Sino dito may pagkain na hamburger? Pahingi. Joke lang. Okay, yan. So, ganyan lang siya kabilis. In short, nag-create na ako ng reusable code. It's easier for us now to actually reuse code within the playgrounds. Malaking bagay ito kasi nung nag-start yung Swift Playground, walang ganito. Lahat in one file lang. Ngayon, pwede mo na siya i-divide in multiple files. Right? So, kanina, di ba, ginamit ko yung parang system background. The reason why I did that is, ang pwede kasing use case dito is, pwedeng naka-light mode, pwedeng naka-dark mode, right? And we want to actually simulate that thing, yung dark mode. And in order to do that, all you have to do is use the environment. Hello. Yan. So here, gagamitin natin yung dark mode na isa. Yun. So, pag naka-dark mode, ganito yung itsura niya. Nakabaliktad. Madilim yung likod, nakaputi yung letra. So, in short, yan yung dark mode, light mode. Pwede ka pwede niyong paglaruan. Kasi yun talaga yung intentionally before ni Playground. Just being able to view yung mga animations nyo first before actually implementing it on Xcode. But right now, mas iban siya kasi pwede ka nang gumawa ng app eh. Ngayon, di ba kanina may V-stack ako, which is the vertical stack. Did you know how easy it is to actually create a horizontal stack? Use H-stack. Oh, left and right na siya. Right? And pwede nating like kanina, di ba, hinila ko lang pababa. Hindi ko na kinat, copy-paste, and ganyan. There's so many shortcuts available here. Yan. And pwede nyo na siya makita. Ano itsura niya pag iPad na size na like landscape mode, and pag naka-portrait mode na iPhone, ganyan. Kita niyo na rin siya diretso. So kung ano nakikita niyo sa iPad, yun na rin talaga mismo yung lalabas sa app. So ayan. Ano pa ba dito? Ano pa bang meron, right? Sabi niyo learn Swift and Swift UI using iPad. Swift UI pa lang to, Michi. Ano pa ba? So papakita ko paano matuto, like for example, what working right now is already Swift, right? This one, I'm gonna show you like, paano tayo matuto ng Swift language, right? Ito, si Apple, marami siyang mga like free books sa Apple Store, yung books. Like ito, yung Swift programming language na ebook. This is free. It's kind of like the Bible or dictionary when it comes to learning the Swift language. So, pwede na natin gamitin yung Playground side by side, right? Side by side. And then, habang nagbabasa ka sa kabila, ini-execute mo na siya sa kabila. Saka, whether left or right, whatever you prefer. And then, ang maganda dito is, yung Playground yan, may console na siya. Dati wala pa yan eh. So, if you do a print, let's say, yun nga, yung first variable, second variable example, and you decided to run your code, makikita niyo siya sa side, may gilid din, 1, 2, 3. Pwede mo makita yan, pwede mo siya ilagay here. Parang notes mo yan, nire-recall mo eh. Right? At the same time, meron din sa baba, parang paper na may dot, para makita mo yung console mismo. Yun yung console natin. Ngayon, nakikita ko to nasa taas siya, di ba? Yung sa Swift Playgrounds 4 na pinakita nila, binaba na nila, which is mas better, right? Hindi kasi natin siya nasa-switch basta-basta. So, it's easier for you actually to read the books, right? At the same time, code it on the side. I think yun yung isa sa mga pinaka-advantage when you're learning Swift at the same time using Swift Playgrounds. Bilis. Ayan, lahat ng mga kailangan references, it's just there. So, no worries, libre lang tong mga apps na to. Yan. So ngayon, nakita nyo na, that's how you can actually learn Swift and Swift UI within the Playgrounds, right? And ano pa ba yung mga pwede natin gamitin apps? So, sinabi ko na yung Swift Playgrounds. Ito, Apple Developer App to. Ito yung mga announcement tuwing WWDC. Lahat ng videos nila, pinanonood natin yan. Dito na lang yan. Buksan nyo lang yung Developer App, watch it. It's free naman. Unwrap, ito yung gawa ni Paul Hudson. Hindi ko alam if you're familiar with Hacking with Swift. Gumawa siya ng app specifically for it. So, maganda dito is, while watching the video, you can do side-by-side with Swift Playgrounds na. So, free lang rin yan. And I see this app maker na nakita ko. Impressive siya kasi parang like, yung Xcode in a way, nadala niya sa iPad, pero Swift UI lang din. And free pa siya ngayon. I think later on may buy na siya. Pero like, try to download it. Ang maganda sa kanya, hindi ko na kailangan i-click yung run my code. Automatically, it updates the view. And of course, yung books, Apple books. Ito, meron mga sample books na dito, na libre naman almost lahat ng Apple books about Swift. Nagawa ni Apple, hindi yung mga gawa ng ibang authors. Pero the Swift programming language, Swift 5.5 edition na tayo, intro to do app development using Swift and more. So yan, ito lang bago tayo mag-end, setting expectations. Kasi nga, ngayon pa lang sa pwede na tayo gumawa ng apps raw sa iPad na pwedeng i-release from the iPad Swift Playgrounds to the App Store straight using Swift Playgrounds 4. Pero hindi natin alam kung how complicated of an app we can do, right? ano yung limitations natin. Hindi natin alam eh. So, let's be surprised na lang within the year. And if really fully fledged up siya, that would be exciting. Here naman, iPad compatibility for Swift Playgrounds. Hindi lahat ng iPad compatible sa Swift Playgrounds. The first time na naging compatible yung iPad, yung Swift Playground was in iPad Pro, the first iPad Pro, and then so on. And if mas luma na yung iPad nyo, baka mas mabagal na siya mag-respond. So, I think the best way to say it, yung pinaka-basic ni Apple ngayon na release or last year, okay pa yung Swift Playgrounds doon. Ngayon, app developed via the iPad is focused on Swift UI. So, you can use Y4it, okay? Pero, based sa in-announce nila, binention lang nila ay Swift UI. So, let's try to like set an expectations na malaking chance na hindi pa siya solid. Siguro give it a year or two bago talaga tayo maka like keep on pushing apps straight from the iPad. So, ayun. And, may question ba muna bago ako mag-move to the next? Claire, may gusto bang magtanong muna bago mag-ano?
Hi, Miss Ang.
Yes.
Yes, good morning. Yeah. I guess what na natin gamitin, anong software, and also if this is free, no? So, yep, mostly nasagot na natin. But since we are managing our time, so maybe you could answer na lang the questions in our chat box later. No?
Okay.
Their question.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, mag-move na ako to the next. If that's the case, thank you. Okay, I will do that. Okay. So, thank you sa lahat. I'll actually be planning to announce something. I think last time sa Y4it ako, I think one of the concern there was not everybody has a MacBook, so they can really learn iOS development. It's really hard. Yung gusto talaga maging iOS developer but they don't have the tools to, develop like yung MacBook and stuff. I might do something, in short, I'm looking for people na talagang dedicated to and I will help them become iOS developer. So announcement na lang diyan sa either Twitter ko or sa invites mako-post ako. And then actually that's about it. If you want to learn iOS development, if you want to learn, Apple development as a whole, join right? And if you're actually into like sharing your knowledge and everything, you can let me know and I will add it at invites. So yun, thank you Claire, and yung mga questions sa chat, sasagutin ko kayo para yung next speaker na. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Miss Michi Ang. Thank you.
Okay.
So yun, as mentioned by Miss Michi Ang, she will answer your questions one by one later, okay, throughout the day. But now, all right, thank you very much. But now, we'll move on to our next speaker. Now, visiting an award-winning provider of innovative blockchain solutions. His passion is creating digital solutions that are inclusive and sustainable for the economic development of communities that are underserved, left behind, or forgotten. Please welcome Mr. Randy Knudsen.
Thank you very much. Let me just get my screen up here. There we go. Well, good morning, everyone. IT, I can't think of a more exciting time to be involved in the IT world with all the transformational technologies that are out there. We touched on a little bit of the cloud computing and AI and big data. And one of the areas of technology for me that's most exciting and transformational is blockchain. And the revolution has already started. Some of you, I'm sure most of you have heard about Bitcoin along the way over the last several years. Some of you may even have created a digital wallet along the way, being curious. and a few maybe even doing some mining of crypto, or lately excited to play in Axie Infinity, the play to pay set of NFT games that have been taking industry by storm. But recently, last week, Bank of America published a global research report. It was a 140-page report that established and launched their digital asset division. And it'll now become an asset that's over $2 trillion globally, that has been too large to ignore. And it's really an area of disruption that they describe in terms of a chance to disrupt finance and technology, supply chains, social media, and gaming, as we're starting to see going on right now. And so what do these all have in common? They all run on blockchain technology. And so I think one of the most disruptive technologies today is in the blockchain space. And so we're going to take the next 20 minutes to really explore what blockchain is, the benefits that it brings, and take a look at some real world cases around blockchain and why everybody's getting so excited. My name again is Randy Knutson. I'm the founder and CEO of DynaQuest Technology Services, and we provide impact technologies such as blockchain. So let's get started first with just a short history of blockchain. If you go back to 2008 and 2009, where it all began with the publication of the white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto, who's yet to be identified as a person or a group of persons, that described Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And that started the journey. And Bitcoin required a new infrastructure to be able to handle what was called the double spend problem, which is how do you prevent a token from being spent twice in the system. And that's how blockchain was developed, is really to support Bitcoin as it first came out at that point. But the one thing you should remember throughout this presentation and going forward is really Bitcoin is not blockchain. Blockchain is the underlying technology, and Bitcoin is really the application. So think of blockchain as kind of the operating system, whether it's iOS or Android on your phone, and Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are really an application that sit on top of that. So that's the first thing you need to understand, to be clear. Even though they have the same history and started together, they're separate. And so that in 2009, the paper was published, and Bitcoins started to become available and created in that process. And actually the first Bitcoin purchase was made on May 22nd, 2010. And that was done through a gentleman in Florida in the US, and proceeded to buy the world's most expensive pizza. At that time, he bought 2 pizzas, which I hope tasted real good, because he used 10,000 Bitcoins at the time to buy those pizzas. So in today's dollars, in terms of this morning, that would be worth 570 million US dollars. So I hope you enjoyed those pizza. So May 22nd has been forever called the Bitcoin Pizza Day as well. And things have progressed over the recent years to the point now where certainly dominating the headlines has really been in the NFT space, and we'll touch a little bit about that later on in the presentation. Some of you may have heard of Top Shot and Axie Infinity, certainly CryptoKitties, and weird whales. It's a real crazy environment that's around this space. So we'll touch on a little bit more in terms of the benefits after we first describe what blockchain really is. So blockchain can be described as a decentralized distributed digital ledger. It's really that simple. And there's certainly sophisticated technology that's underneath in terms of the blockchain, how a block gets written, how it gets cryptography that's involved with it. But in its simplest form, it's just a distributed digital ledger that just records an individual transaction. And that transaction could be the movement of a cryptocurrency, whether it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any of the other cryptos. It could be the ownership of an NFT, or it could be the use of smart contracts in the decentralized finance. And so it just records the transactions, which is really quite simple and basic. And how it really works is just, again, a simple process where a request goes out to a peer-to-peer network of thousands of computers to request a transaction be written. And these computers then look at the transaction, validate the transaction to make sure that it's a good transaction, and they then generate consensus and then authorize that to be written and create a new block. And that process of creating the new block, the cryptography is involved to create a hash or a digital fingerprint that connects that block to the previous blocks. So the data is linked together and is permanently recorded, and that's where the name comes from, is blockchain, is that it just records a block of a data at a time. But again, the key understanding is it's permanent and it can't be changed. So that's how the block actually gets written on the blockchain. So what are the basic benefits of the blockchain technology? It really centers around several areas in terms of transparency, the ability to see the data that's written on the blockchain, security in terms of it's stored in an encrypted fashion, so it's permanent as well, so it can't be changed or tampered with. Efficiencies can be gained in terms of the use of other applications such as smart contracts or decentralized apps, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and certainly builds trust. Really, the key thing of the blockchain is really it builds a network of trust and a peer-to-peer trust, which is really fundamentally different from the centralized models that we'll talk about. So that'll be a theme that you'll hear come up more and more in the other business use cases, this secure, trusted element. So why is that important? It really, again, creates a new architecture for businesses, decentralized and secure. And so that's really what has gotten business so excited, that as it turns out, what makes solving the Bitcoin double spend issue actually can solve a lot of other problems for business. And the fact when you add in decentralized applications and smart contracts really provides a powerful platform to transform businesses. And we'll talk about that in some of the use cases coming up. So before we get into the use cases, let me just talk about those key fundamental building blocks of smart contracts and DApps. Smart contract is really just a self-executing contract, a piece of code that sits across on the blockchain network. And so it's decentralized, it's distributed across all nodes. And this contract is really looking for kind of a if-then event to occur. And so think about it as terms of a regular conventional contract, whether that be for business or buying real estate or some agreement, and it's just codified, that's sitting out there ready to execute. And so that becomes a really a powerful tool when taking a look at how this can change business. And we'll see again in a couple of examples that we'll cover up following this. The other key building block is really known as decentralized applications. And just as we talk about smart contracts being distributed across the environment, DApps are also distributed across the environment. And so it's the kind of the back end code to be able to run applications. And in the traditional model, you see that there's a centrally managed, where you go back to a data center or a central host for the applications to interact with. The DApps have the ability to interact independently on their own in this decentralized environment. So it's, again, a key concept. It's just the decentralized environment fundamentally changes how business can approach new problems with this new architecture. So what can you do with blockchains? You can do a lot of different things, and we'll get through the examples that I think will make it a little bit more clear. Certainly, we talked about the security and the nature of it being recorded on the blockchain. It solved the issues in terms of the Bitcoin of recording time transactions and the like. So it's really allows for the automation through DApps and as well as smart contracts. And certainly it's not going to eliminate a lot of things, or it's not a one size fits all type of solution. It certainly can fit in many situations, as we'll see in our examples, but it's not an end all to everything. So let's take a look at some of the examples in the case studies of blockchain uses across various industries to help you better understand what the potential uses and benefits can be. Let's take a look at blockchain and banking. And this is a company called Y4it, and they have a platform that's called Y4it, and they specifically deal with a variety of different banking issues and payments, in particular the transfer of money both from a business to business and a business to consumer environment. And they can cover identity, KYC processes, and commodity buyers and sellers. There's a lot of things that they can do from that regard. And so that's a platform that's in use today, and helps the banks become more efficient and help drive down costs, reduce risk along the way, and especially in banking and insurance, very intensive paper processes involved. As just alluded to, insurance is another area as well. IBM has its Hyperledger platform that it works with. IBM works with about 95% of the world's top insurers on their platforms, and they have been working now for the past several years to help streamline insurance processes, which again are very paper intensive around applications and claims and verifications along the way to do that. And so again, using smart contracts that can self-execute can help automate a lot of the processes involved in insurance. Another area is in automotive. BMW is doing a lot of exciting things as well too. Use the blockchain to record the history of a vehicle that can include the repair history, the ownership, whether insurance is involved. They have an application called Verify Car, which basically records the history and the life of the car as well. They're also using the blockchain in supply chain verification. So they're ensuring that their raw materials come from trusted countries and sources and ethical terms to be able to do that, and applications as well, including e-cars in terms of how to easily find the charging station that you need and seamlessly be able to pay for that transaction as well. And healthcare is another big area of potential benefits, and it's a market that is around data records. Is certainly patient data records is certainly a huge area of development that's going on, but also data breach is a big problem area. They're expected forecasting data breaches to cost over $100 billion annually in 2025. Pharmaceutical, counterfeit drugs, and to be able to trace drug counterfeit drugs as well. And patient record fraud. One of the areas that we always think about is Social Security numbers and bank account numbers on the black market. Those records go for about $25, where a patient record, a medical record, goes for probably $1,000 as well. So it's a major area. And manufacturing, another example. SAP also has a suite of products under its Leonardo portfolio as well, and they have formed a consortium of 27 customers and partners with a total market value of over $800 billion to look at the use of the blockchain to be able to audit and trace their goods in their manufacturing. In the retail sector, Salesforce has used its Hyperledger Sawtooth, which was a joint development between IBM and Intel, to be able to help payments and loyalty experience as well. Another area is in agriculture. Walmart is really creating a farm to plate promotion for ethical sourcing and consumption of its products, and has been working on this initiative for a number of years as well too, to be able to trace and track the food supply and ensure food safety. And as we talked about earlier, the gaming sector is really the one that's exploded over the last year or so. You got the League of Kingdoms, you got Axie Infinity, and a whole host of others as well that use the non-fungible tokens. And lastly, identity. Estonia has been described in Wire magazine as one of the most advanced digital societies in the world, and they've really taken the blockchain and leveraged the identity to really put online about 99% of their government services as well. And so they're a good example of where blockchain, the security and the trust can be built, is already built into the network, and can help automate that as well too. So before we close our discussion today, I want to talk about kind of three other key hot topic areas that you'll be hearing a lot more about. One area is called decentralized finance, or DeFi, and that's an area that's really going to be going underneath a significant fundamental change in the upcoming years. And again, think back to the model, the decentralized model. If you take a look at the traditional financial systems where you have a central hub, whether it be a bank or whether it be a country, in this new model, it's decentralized. And so you think about the DeFi as kind of being money Legos, and they're going to be able to build these systems that are going to have greater autonomy and ability to be able to execute. So that's an area that's going to be gaining a lot of interest in the upcoming years. And we touched on NFTs, non-fungible tokens. That's the difference. A non-fungible token is really just a unique token. So think about it as a trading card or ownership of that. So it's as opposed to a one Bitcoin equaling one Bitcoin, one NFT doesn't equal one NFT. They're each unique and different. So it's easy to be able to record ownership of devices, whether it be CryptoKitties or whether it be digital moments in NBA Top Shot. There's a big opportunity there, and it's certainly been getting a lot of interest, but there's certainly more things to come. And the last big idea is really around decentralized autonomous organizations, or called DAOs. And this is another area, again, moving from the traditional centralized structure of an organization, kind of a top-down and committees. The DAO organization is really an autonomous organization that can automatically execute on its own based on a predefined set of rules and using smart contracts and agreements. And so that's really a big area of interest, and I bring that up because the developer Dapper Labs of CryptoKitties and NBA Top Shot is really taking some of the recent funding that they developed, and they're going to be launching a new business that's called Dapper Collectives, and it's going to be focusing specifically on how to create DAOs in the process. So I think hopefully you've got a clearer picture that blockchain is transforming everything and everywhere in the process, and hopefully you get a better understanding of some of the underlying capabilities and benefits of the technology as it's continuing to heat up and become a very exciting space. And if you can remember, just it's the transparency, security, and efficiency, and the trust that it brings to the network. So blockchain for now is real. It's here to stay, and it's in your future. So blockchain is hopefully you understand a little bit now is really changing the world, and that your ideas today could be redefined by the blockchain tomorrow. And so I would like to leave you with this final quote that curiosity leads you to places you don't expect to end up. So over the upcoming days, be curious and stay curious and enjoy the Congress. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Knudsen. Now we're going to answer some questions from our participants. Okay. Let me read this from Carl John Vinas. What do you think are are the greatest challenges in setting up a blockchain infrastructure in different use cases fields you have given? Are there reasons like budget, scalability, or lack of specializations in these
Well,
fields?
I think the technology itself is evolving to the various platforms, as you could see in each one of the cases, is that you have some of the standard commercial platforms, whether it be IBM and Hyperledger or other customizations to do that. To do it on a commercial scale is certainly a daunting platform that has the capability that's built into it, and so it's kind of a shared infrastructure from a public standpoint, but also there's private implementations as well on the various platforms, and so it's not something that you would go out and build yourself, kind of like the internet. It's really a feature and function that you want to be able to exploit in your applications.
Thank you, Tamora. As a young student, where do we start using blockchain technologies? Question from Delion Cotomatora from La Verdad Christian College, Apalit.
Well, thank you. I think the part of the challenge from an educational perspective is it's a space that's evolving and moving very rapidly, and we actually conducted a workshop back in 2018 down in Bacolod, working with the local government and the universities down there to help establish at least a base level of education. And at the time, we leveraged some online classes and courses, and certainly that opportunity marketplace is we've grown bigger. So there's traditional elements that you want to be able to include in your education, whether it be data structures, your basic programming skills, as well in cryptography, if that's an area of specialty and interest as well. So my best advice to get started is really go online. There's a lot of courses out there. A lot of them are free in terms of starting your education and starting your journey. It's one of the in the developed markets, they can't find enough resources. I think the average pay for a blockchain developer in the U.S. is probably around 150,000 U.S. Annually, and anybody with experience is making over $200,000 U.S. And so it's going to continue to be a challenged resource environment as the technology continues to blossom and bloom. So.
All right, thank you. Now, one last question from our participant, Gerard Bryan. Okay. Okay, it's moving. Let me check. There it is. There. Do you think the creations of many different cryptocurrency can affect other cryptocurrencies' prices?
Well, it's this kind of gets into the investment side, and I'm not certainly here to give any investment advice in the cryptocurrency space. I think it's again as an application on the blockchain, and so getting into the highly risky and speculative environment in terms of cryptocurrency investments, I'll kind of steer away from that. But I think the underlying technology around blockchain, as I hopefully illustrated in the presentation, is really the key to enabling fundamental change in businesses as well too. If you're going to seek your own advice and the risk of investing in crypto, do your homework and take on your own risks. So
Take your own risks. Yes. All right. Okay. So I think that's it, Mr. Kunatsan. Thank you very much for joining us
all
today.
right.
Sasagutin niyo ng mga speakers natin throughout the day. As you can see, no, si Miss Mitchie ang very interactive siya dito sa ating chat box. Ang dami yung sinasagot na tanong. Okay, nandiyan pa ba kayo? Kasama ko.
Huwag ka mo naman ng video. Naglalag ako.
Ba kayo? Cool. Ayan, sabi nila, thank you very much, Fuhu. Maraming salamat to support. Wow, ang dami.
May tulog naman dyan sa baker.
Kasama ko pa rin sila. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. So I think we're sure you've announced our exciting announcements. We would like to thank first our Y4it sponsors. Okay. Thank you to Asus, Paymaya, Smart PLDT, Oracle, Linux Professional Institute Systems, Archer M Security, Empire Locks, Felta Multimedia Inc., Pioneer